Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the board's training webinar on the upcoming electronic submission mandate for the RFA-1LC, or Request for Further Action by Legal Counsel. I'm Allie Price from the board's Stakeholder Engagement Unit. Joining me today is Mike Gifford from the Stakeholder Engagement Unit, as well as subject matter experts from varying units across the board, including the onboard team and claims unit, who will be answering your questions today. We ask you to please keep your phone lines muted, as we will use the chat feature to receive your questions today. You may enter your questions throughout the presentation in the chat box located on the right-hand side of your screen. The team will answer as many of the questions as they can at the end of the presentation, but if there's any we don't get to, or you think of something after the session ends, we will be providing you with additional resources for getting more information and contacting the board. Please note that the session is being recorded and will be available for reference on the board's YouTube channel, and we'll let you know when those resources become available. With that, I will get going with our agenda slide. First, we'll provide a brief overview of the electronic submission mandate and the different electronic submission options available. Then we'll provide a high-level walkthrough, and this is where Mike will take over, for submitting the RFA-1LC eForm, highlighting how simple it is to submit this form in eCase. Lastly, we'll be using the chat function to take your questions. So feel free to put them throughout. We'll address them at the end, but you can put questions throughout the entire presentation. All right, so let's start with a brief overview of the electronic submission mandate for the RFA-1LC. So as announced on November 2nd in 2023 via subject number 0461636, we announced the electronic submission mandate for form RFA-1LC. This mandate will go into effect on December 13th, so next Friday, 2024, using the following submission options. An eForm. So an eForm add-on will be implemented in eCase that will enable users to complete the form and submit it electronically. The new process will walk users through each field in the eForm using a web-based wizard. Then there's also API. Developing an online submission process via an application program interface, or API, will enable separate computer systems to talk to one another and exchange data, automating manual data entry and streamlining the flow of RFA-1LC form data into the case file. The third option is XML. So an XML file submission process via the Secure File Transfer Protocol, or SFTP, has been developed to submit electronic form RFA-1LC data to the board. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, XML is a markup language that defines a set of rules for encoding data in a way that's readable by both humans and machines. So just a quick tech XML definition for everyone. And with that, we'll get started with the actual eForm preview. So we'll be showing you a high-level preview of the process of submitting the RFA-1LC eForm via eCase. And for full submittal options, so we're just doing a preview today, not every single step will be covered, but for submittal options and full instructions, you can find that at wcv.ny.gov/onboard/eForm. And I will now hand it over to Mike Gifford, who will be performing the walkthrough of our eForm today.
Thank you, Allie, and good morning, everybody, and thank you again from me for joining us for today's eForm preview. So today we'll be focusing on submitting the RFA-1LC via eCase, and we're going to be showing a high-level preview of this process. So first, users will log into eCase. They'll input a case ID and then click Search Case. Once the search is complete and the case information is successfully displayed, the eForm button will appear. Upon selection of the eForm button, users will be taken to the eForm's landing page. This screenshot shows what the eForm's landing page will look like. There are 8 columns on the landing page. First is eForm, and then you'll see the status. And the statuses that you'll see are draft, only 1 per WCB case ID, submitted, or rejected if an API or an XML transaction was rejected. Next, you'll see the last saved date, the user, the submission ID, and the submission date. Then you'll see the document ID number, and finally, you'll see the medium or how that eForm was submitted.
To start a new eForm, users will click the Select a Form to Submit dropdown on the eForm landing page and select the RFA-1LC option. Once this option is selected, users can click the Start eForm button to launch the eForm.
Next, you'll see there are 3 request reason categories to choose from. The first is compensation, second is medical, and lastly, the other category. Users can only select one reason at a time. Additional reasons can be added later in the eForm, which we will cover later in the presentation. For today's walkthrough, we'll use the claimant is not working and not receiving payments request reason as an example. The user selects this reason and answers the 4 questions in the request details section, which we will look at next. The following information must be provided when the claimant is not working and not receiving payments request reason is selected. Provide a payment reason. Either payments were suspended and should be reinstated, or payments have not been made to date. Then provide the begin and end dates of unpaid lost time from work and degree of disability. Is continuing payment requested? Select yes or no. And lastly, is an expedited 45-day hearing needed? Select yes or no. And please note, the Save and Continue must be selected at the bottom of each page in order to progress to the next step. Users can track the progress of the eForm and edit or delete a request reason using the Submission Progress panel, which we'll look at the next slide. The Submission Progress panel allows users to keep track of the eForm's progress as each step is completed. This will remain on the side of the screen while navigating through the eForm. The dot that we're showing here on the Submission Progress panel indicates where users are in the process of filling out the form. Users can delete a request reason by selecting the trash can icon or edit a request reason by selecting the pencil icon. After saving the request details, users will be asked if they want to add another request reason. If yes is selected, users will be taken back to the Selecting a Request Reason section of the eForm. If no is selected, users will move on to the Additional Proposed Findings section of the eForm. The Additional Proposed Findings section of the eForm allows users to add findings that are not in dispute and or to request an attorney fee. Next, users will be prompted to provide supporting documentation. The board's website is linked at the top of the page where users can find the supporting documentation requirements specific to each request reason. The reference document section allows users to pull in documents already present in the case folder. Otherwise, users will have to upload any additional documentation using the Upload Documents button shown in this screenshot. If users are required to certify their submittal, serving the required parties is the responsibility of the attorney or licensed representative. In order to submit the eForm, users will have to accept the attestation shown in this screenshot. The first name, last name, and organization name should be the information of the attorney or licensed representative assigned to the case, not necessarily the person submitting the form. After accepting the attestation, users must review the eForm for accuracy prior to submittal. To edit the eForm or delete a request reason, users can select the Back button. Users may also select the Exit button, which allows them to save a draft or exit the eForm. A draft is available for 7 days. Otherwise, users will select the Submit button. After submitting the eForm, the following submission confirmation will appear. After selecting Close, users will be taken back to the eForm's landing page. Once the eForm is submitted, the system automatically generates a PDF of the eForm and places it in the case folder for future reference. As a reminder, the electronic submission mandate for RFA-1LC goes into effect on December 13th. As previously mentioned, submittal options and full instructions for completing the RFA-1LC can be found at wcb.ny.gov/onboard/eForms. You can also reach the onboard team via email at onboard@wcb.ny.gov with any questions or concerns you may have. For more information on connecting with the board, including social media and signing up for email notifications, please visit wcb.ny.gov and head to the bottom of the page and look for the footer Connect with Us. So with that preview done, we'll begin taking any questions you may have related to the RFA-1LC eForm submittal process or the electronic submission mandate. Please use the chat function on the bottom right side of your screen to submit your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. We're getting a few questions in right now, so I will start off by reading the first one we received, which is there a way to practice before it becomes a requirement?
Thanks, Ellie. Hi, everyone. This is Sarah Leonard. I'm one of the business analysts that worked on the eForm. And right now, there is no way to practice using the eForm. There's no practice environment. But you can go to the eForm's website and view all the request reasons that you will see on the eForm. And then there's different screenshots for one of the request reasons out there. So that might help you to kind of get an insight into what's on the eForm.
All right, next question is, do documents need to be referenced by ID number? If so, will we be able to copy and paste the doc IDs from ECF?
Hi, everyone. This is Sarah again. So you don't have to copy and paste the document ID. You'll be able to reference right on the supporting documentation step, right from the case folder. So what would be helpful for you is to know what the document ID is from eCase prior to completing the eForm, and that way you can quickly find it in the case folder when you're on that supporting documentation step. And if it's not in the case folder, you can also upload, but don't double upload forms that are already in the case folder.
All right, next question is there an option to enter text just in case we can't, or we want to submit an RFA for a reason not covered in the drop-down box?
Hi, this is Sharon Kizo, District Manager. If there is an option that is not available, you can submit attorney correspondence. On any of the options that are available, there's also a free text additional information field where you can put up to 500 characters of additional information for that related.
Okay, next question. What information is required for the attestation?
Hi, everyone. This is Sarah again. We're looking for the name of the attorney that's on the case and also a phone number.
All right, next question is, can we print a copy of the eForm?
Yes, you can print a copy of the eForm. You can view it from the landing page and open up the PDF right there and download it and print it if you'd like.
All right, regarding the question, if using an RFA for an L3 PAR denial, would that be under the other category?
It's actually under the medical category. There's a request reason prior authorization request was denied or granted in part by the medical director's office.
All right. And I brought up the slide with the request reasons again for the person who asked to show the request reasons. So that should, I'll keep that up there for now. All right. Next question is, what is the time frame to receive a response from WCB after the ERFA is submitted?
Hi, this is Dina Jones, Director of Claims, and we are asking to give us at least 30 days before following up on that RFA submission.
All right, next question. Is there an option to download all the final RFA eForm, as I assume we will need to send a copy of that to the carrier/all parties?
Yes, you can download the eForm from the landing page, and you are still responsible for sending that eForm to all responsible parties.
All right, next question. Is there an opt-out option, e.g. submitted by U.S. mail?
There is no opt-out option.
All right, next we have, if we are using the API, will we have to access the document IDs?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Tim Purcell, the Chief Innovation Officer at the board. If you're using the API, and obviously you're going to have access to eCase in the case folder, you will need to know what the document IDs are that your software will integrate with, and then provide that document ID in the API data that you pass to us.
All right, so this is an easy one. Will the eForm button become available on the 13th?
Yes.
Next we have, will the eForm option automatically be available beginning 12/13, or is there a separate step that any eCase user needs to take to ensure they have this access?
There's no additional steps that you need to take. The button will be available on the 13th.
Next we have, once RFA-1LC is submitted, does the file go immediately to an examiner to process the request?
It goes immediately to the case folder, and then our routing process takes place.
All right, we have some questions about free text, which we will send over to our SMEs to look at. So I think Ray will unmute and tell us about the free text.
Hi, good morning. This is Raymond Peters. The free text option will become available once the reason is completed. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen.
All right. Thank you for your patience. Next question is, do all reasons require certification?
No, not all reasons require certification, but most of them do.
All right, next we have, currently you cannot upload unless a case is on for a hearing. If you need something in the file for the RFA to be completed, how do you get it in the file immediately to reference?
The RFA has the option to attach supporting documentation, so you'll actually be able to upload that as part of the eForm process.
All right, thank you for your patience again. So next question, if we have to send an attorney correspondence for things that we used to be able to use the RFA on, does the attorney correspondence have to be certified?
Hi, this is Dina again. Attorney correspondence does not have to be certified. If you are following up on documents in the case file already, you may also utilize the online claims inquiry form instead of sending in attorney correspondence.
All right, next we have, do you still need to attach the MDO denial or just reference the document number, ID number? This was a requirement before to attach the part in dispute or question.
With the eForm, when you're on that reason, you'll just select the PAR from the little modal that pops up. You don't need to then reference it later in the supporting documentation step.
All right, so will we still need to print and mail a copy to the insurance carrier?
Yes, you'll still need to print a copy and mail it to the insurance carrier.
All right, next we have, why do we have to wait a day to file RFA after speaking to the other side if they will not agree?
Hi, this is Sharon again. I think that might have been a misunderstanding when the slides were going through. The 24 hours only applies if you are selecting that you've attempted to contact the opposing parties to discuss the reasons and you weren't able to get a response. There was no discussion forthcoming. If you did contact them, the 24 hours would not apply.
All right, next we have, can you select more than one reason for the RFA, and can you edit it to include more reasons after it's been filed?
Hi, this is Sarah again. You can select more than one reason on the eForm. You're going to complete one reason, and then you'll get the question, do you want to add another reason? At that point, you'll say yes, and it will bring you back to the category page, and then you can complete your second reason. And the second part of this question, you cannot add more reasons once it's been filed. You can't go back and edit that RFA that's been submitted.
All right, next we have, if you need to cancel an RFA submitted, do we do another RFA form indicating that?
You cannot cancel the RFA once it's been submitted.
All right, next question we have is, which method is easiest?
Hi, this is Tim Purcell again. The easiest method to submit this is through eCase. However, if you have software support, certainly the API is the most efficient way, that or the SFTP, which would include automation with your own software systems. But in terms of ease, the eCase submittal option is very simple.
All right, next question is, and the eForm button will be available on all cases, unlike how the upload is only available 10 days prior to a hearing.
Yes, that eForm button will be available for any case in which you're the attorney of record for that injured worker.
Will we still have a testing environment for API after December 13th?
Yes, we encourage folks after this goes live, after you've maybe used eCase for several weeks, if you're still interested in transitioning or using both eCase and the API method or the SFTP method, we will continually be able to support future requests for anyone that wants to do testing with us on the API or on the SFTP.
All right, next we have, what category do we pick for Section 32 settlements or stipulations?
Hi, this is Sharon again. There is not a category for Section 32 settlements or stipulations. If you have reached an agreement or a stipulation, then you would just submit those documents. Those documents by themselves trigger action by claims, and you do not need to submit an RFA-1LC to flag attention to those.
All right, next we have, to confirm if you are representing the claimant, does a copy go automatically to the carrier, or we still need to send to the carrier?
Yeah, I think Sarah answered this previously, but we'll just emphasize that there's no automatic serving that the RFA does, so you are still responsible to send to the party.
All right, next question. How do you know or check if the EFRA is successfully submitted to the board?
There's 3 ways. You'll first get a confirmation message when you click the submit button. You'll also see it on the landing page with the status of submitted, and you can check the case folder. And I did just want to reiterate, while you're completing the eForm, you can always save a draft and go back to that eForm. There was another question on that as well.
All right, we have a question about attorney fees. So are attorney's fee able to be attached to the RFA-1LC?
Hi, this is Sharon. You can attach the you can attach the OC for 100.1 to the RFA-1LC. When you're uploading the RFA-1, you would have that as additional information that would be included with the submission.
All right, so another question we have is, can multiple users at the same law firm access and update eForm drafts on the landing page?
So it's all by case number. You can't have 2 users in the same case number working on the same eForm, but you can have one person filling out the eForm, maybe save a draft, and then a second person at the law firm go in and submit that draft.
All right, next we have, is there any way to fix mistakes, for example, uploading the same document twice?
If this is while you're still on that draft eForm and you accidentally uploaded an attachment twice or a wrong attachment, you do have the ability to delete that attachment. Once it's submitted, though, it's going to be transmitted to the case folder.
Can you expand further on what does not require certification?
You can actually go to the eForms webpage, and under the instructions, there's a Request Reason Quick Guide button. And if you click that, it expands the categories, and you'll see each request reason and if it requires certification. So that might be helpful the first time through or now before the 13th.
All right, we have a question related to testimony. So if we need to request testimony, would that be by RFA or attorney correspondence?
You would select the appropriate request reason related to the joined issue on the RFA-1LC and indicate in the additional information field that you are requesting deposition or testimony. If the request reason is not on the RFA, submit attorney correspondence.
All right, we had someone ask what the online claim inquiry form is, and Dina will take that one.
Hi, yes, in answering an earlier question, I referenced the online inquiry form. That is actually available from the board's website. If you go onto the board's website and at the bottom of the page, there is a Contact Us option, and then the first option underneath that web page is for workers' compensation claims. Underneath the email option, it's called Contact Claims Operations. That brings you to an online form where you're able to identify the case that you're following up on, and be able to select particular options, whether you're following up on an RFA that was submitted or maybe perhaps other submitted documentation in the case file, such as a Section 32 or an attorney fee app. And then you submit that, and that creates a work item automatically to a claims examiner to review that case. This is just an alternative to contacting the customer service center and or submitting attorney correspondence.
All right. We have a question about RFA being canceled again. If RFA cannot be canceled, do we then write WCB to withdraw?
Once the RFA has been submitted, it cannot be canceled. There's no process to cancel it. What you would do is submit attorney correspondence and let us know that it was submitted in error and that you're not requesting that action be taken.
All right, next question. Will the eForm autofill any case information like the claimant or carrier name?
Yes, all of that will be auto-filled for you, so you no longer have to type that in on the PDF like you're likely doing today.
Someone asked again, because I missed a little bit, can supporting documentation be attached after the RFA-1LC is filed?
No, supporting documentation cannot be attached once it's submitted.
So in relation to the 4.3 and 81.7 question, Sharon will address that.
We did receive a question about whether or not a C4.3, how to file an RFA-1 for a C4.3 to follow up with an 81.7. You don't need to file the RFA-1LC in that instance. When the C4.3 is received by the board, it triggers automatic action for review of that case and for the issuance of an EC 81.7 or the appropriate resolution when that is received. If, however, you notice that the 4.3 is labeled as something else, or action was not taken, then you can let us know by using the online inquiry.
All right, thank you everyone so much for your time today. I know we probably couldn't get to every single question, but I left the onboard email up on the board, or up on the screen. So if you want to reach out with further questions that we did not get to today, please reach out at onboard@wcb.ny.gov. The eForms website is also up on the screen. That has all the information, including a more in-depth walkthrough for RFA-1LC with full e-case instructions and API and XML information. So again, thank you for your time today. Please reach out with questions if we did not get to yours, and we will let you know when the recording is posted. So thank you very much and have a great